So it's like you get like it's like a sword, right? And you just like chop the top off the champagne bottle.
I thought you were saying savor, like let's save it for later.
Oh no,
I was like, okay,
we're gonna savor it right now.
All right, hey, what's up, everybody? This is Whiskey Web and Whatnot, live at All Things Open, with guest host today, Jason Lengstorf.
And accidental hat twins.
Yes, I had another hat, and this one's actually a little tight on my head, so I thought about not wearing it, but I don't know, I thought it was fun. We both thought it would be fun.
You know, I just thought it matched my outfit. And here we are.
Nice.
I need a hat.
Yes.
I know. Where's your matching hat, Shruti?
I don't know. I didn't get the memo.
Wes, please send one to Shruti.
Plus one internet hat to Shruti Kapoor, please.
Yes, and so, as you probably noticed, our guest today is Shruti Kapoor. Would you like to tell the folks at home who you are and what you do?
Hello, everyone. Who am I looking at?
You're looking right into just dead into the camera.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shruti Kapoor, your favorite developer, entertainer, and content creator. I used to be a software engineer at Slack. I quit my job to be a full-time indie content creator. Now I make videos, help educate people, and drink wine, it seems.
My editors love me because I never press the record button, and then I just have all of the audio put together.
You need a recording light.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. It's really fun, extra fun for the editors when they also have to take out a bunch of breaks.
You know, I think what we do is we just we make anybody who approaches the table just talk into the extra mic.
You could. Okay, so yes.
Do we need to do the intro again because you forgot to start recording?
We could.
Oh, we weren't recording?
Well,
Robbie forgot to push the button.
We're recording here, so we have audio and video, but this has all the separate tracks, which is easier to edit later.
Especially if you're going to do the noise background stuff, which you'll probably need this time.
Okay.
I would just kick it up again.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Whiskey Web and Whatnot with your host, Robbie the Wagner, and guest host today, Jason Lengstorf.
That's right, hat twins today.
Yes. Yes, very cool hats. Shout out West Boss and the Syntax team. And we have a guest today, Shruti Kapoor. How's it going?
Hi, it's going great. I didn't get the memo on the hat, so West Coast, please hook me up.
That's right, one internet hat, Wes.
Yeah.
Please. I'll give a quick intro. My name is Shruti Kapoor. I have been a software engineer for 11 years now. I used to work at Slack and PayPal before that, and then I was like, screw this. I don't need to get paid for my work, so I'm going to become an full-time, independent YouTube content creator, and here I am.
Nice. Yes, I like getting paid for my work, but you know, to each their own.
It's truly the Silicon Valley dream. It's for the passion.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm doing it for my passion, okay? I don't need money.
All right.
YouTube is my passion.
Yeah. So we have a Fra. I don't know. It is an alcohol-removed wine. It is a sparkling brut. It is.
And that's because it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well,
and it felt a little aggressive to try to do back-to-back episodes.
Well, Chuck would disagree with you. He's already had 7 whiskeys.
Chuck doesn't have to give a keynote in 3 hours.
Yeah. So this is a blend of Chenin Blanc and Pinot Noir, and it is de-alcoholized using an innovative spinning cone process, whatever that means.
A spinning cone process.
Yes.
What does that even mean? I bet that's kind of like, it's kind of, because you get is it because, you know what? I'm gonna just scientifically explain this, knowing exactly 0 things about how this works. It's because alcohol is different density than the water, right? And
that sounds right.
If you put it into a centrifuge, you can separate the alcohol from the rest of the beverage, and then you're able to just pour that alcohol off. I'm sure they keep it somewhere. There is a wine-removed alcohol that's being sold in a liquor store near you.
Yeah, they take all the alcohol and save it.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it's kind of like how they take in peanut butter. Pass one down.
Thank you.
Peanut butter. They take all of the oil out and like sell the peanut oil and then put palm oil in the peanut butter. It's like that.
Exactly. somewhere somebody's got some grape juice. They've added the alcohol from the Chenin Blanc, and they're selling it as wine probably in a box, more of like one of those plastic bladders.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Waste not. All right, yeah, let's see how this is.
You're not gonna face that label up to the camera?
No. Well,
Come on,
if they want
sir.
to pay me. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if you can
All right,
even
what do
see
we-
it. Let's see. You can kind of see it. Yeah, I mean,
Cheers.
cheers. Yeah.
Cheers.
This is the benefit
Yeah.
of these in-person ones. You can actually do the cheers.
Yeah. Smells like wine.
Tastes like juice.
Oh yeah, does not taste like wine.
This reminds me of when I was a kid and you'd go to a New Year's Eve party and the parents would have their champagne and then they would get the sparkling apple cider for the kids. This tastes like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, this is indistinguishable from sparkling grape juice. Would say, if you want this flavor, just buy sparkling grape juice.
Yeah.
Just get some grape juice and put it in your soda stream and you've got this, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tasty. I don't dislike it. I just thought it would be more wine-like.
Yeah.
But-
It's very grape juicy.
Yeah.
This is why they all the other spirits, like the fake spirits, they have to do things to make the alcohol taste come back. Like they'll add something to
Fortified?
give it, yeah,
Yeah.
or they'll put like something slightly spicy to give it an alcohol burn, and like they'll put something a little bitter to make it kind of have that alcohol flavor. And it feels like with this one, they just removed the alcohol and they were like, it's still wine, right? But the alcohol's gone, so it's
Technically, it is.
it's lost its balance, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder if they just like added bubbles to juice and be like, this is wine.
No one will
and
check
I
us.
I can sell it for more money.
The spinning cone technique was somebody in the marketing department being like, you're not going to believe what theories people are going to come up with for how we did this.
Alcohol and water have different densities.
All right, so yeah, this is the first alcohol removed wine I've had, so I don't really know what to compare it to. We have a very complex rating system of 0 to 8 tentacles, 0 being the worst, 8 being the best, 4.5 is, I guess, the middle. Yeah, Jason, you want to give it a rating?
I have had alcohol removed wines, and I would say that this one is probably the sweetest one that I've had, and it's made the least effort to still taste like wine.
Yeah.
That being said, I like the flavor of this is good. So as a beverage, not as a wine, I think this is like a 6 tentacles. As wine, this is like a 1 tentacle.
That's fair. Shruti, what do you think?
Yeah, not bad to taste, not wine. Would not drink this while painting, but would not hate it if it was served to me.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same vein. I actually think it's very tasty, but it doesn't remind me of wine at all. So, we'll say 2. I'll just split the difference between you. Yeah. All right. So now we have, oh, I forgot the toast. The most important part.
Oh, the most important part.
All right, here's to react. The JavaScript monarch we complain about daily, fork monthly, and rewrite yearly. May it continue to evolve faster than we can keep up, and may we all one day understand what use effect really does.
Use effect. But we know what use effect does not do, right?
Well, I don't personally, but
I never did figure it out.
yeah. All right, so we have some hot takes that we start with. I have changed these a bit from our ones we typically do, but we have one that we always do. Get rebase or get merge? What do you think?
Merge.
Why?
Old habits die hard.
Okay.
I like it. I find it more cleaner. I find it easier to understand. I've been doing git merge the whole time.
Okay.
Never got
No
into
wrong
git
answer.
rebase.
You know, I think
Curious.
this is the first time that one of the hot takes has made me want to fight. So good.
Fight me,
Well,
Jason.
yeah, go for it.
I'll fight you.
Rebuttal.
I never would have thought of git merge as being clean,
Oh,
because it mangles everything into one flat thing that's a million changes, and you have to recover from that,
Yeah.
right? Like whereas rebase is like, here's just the commits that were made. Yeah. So anyways, you're wrong.
you're wrong. I don't like your answer.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. I don't know. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to preserve. If you want the entire history and you don't want to squash to one, then there's really not a lot of difference.
I think it's because you lose blame is the big reason that because like if you, especially like when I was working on big teams, you have a lot of people putting stuff together, and like one deploy might be like a lot of branches that have all kind of made it into this feature branch, and if you merge that branch, you've lost all that. You don't know who worked on what, right? And so it starts to get really difficult to sort of track that stuff down over time. That was why I went rebase. Like that was a big thing for me. Was and I think it depends on each team's workflow as well, because if you are the only person who's ever worked on your branch, then a merge doesn't matter as much. But like if a lot of people have worked on it, now you've lost any ability to go back and say like, hey, what were you thinking when you wrote this code? Because we don't, like, I don't want to break it if it's, you know, something important, but I don't get why it's like this. And you can't go find the person who wrote it in a multi-person merge.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why I like Git rebase is, Git merge.
I turned her around.
Screw you. I think like we work a little bit differently at PayPal, in which we all had our own domains. So what I would do is I would typically have different branches even from my own domain. So I was merging with my own stuff. So I did not want to see what the previous commits was. And like I was merging with my own stuff. So I was the only developer technically working on this. So it made sense to have Git merge.
That totally makes sense.
But I can see like your logic of Git rebase, where you would want to see who did what and find out the data.
Man, we change it from a hot take to an it depends.
Yeah.
They go that way sometimes.
Like senior developers.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, one that has a definitive answer is HTML a programming language?
Who says it's not?
You're the.
Who says it's not?
People do.
I know.
Yeah. Pass.
I don't know. I'm so conflicted.
Well, it depends on how you define it, right? So everyone has a slightly different definition, maybe, of a programming language. And that's why this is a hot take. It's like, it's up to you.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. What about CSS?
No.
Ooh, okay.
Shruti, you're making me want to fight today.
Fight me, Jason.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
This isn't my show. This is your show.
Oh, okay. Well, I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, you
You're
can.
wrong, I'm right.
Yeah. We're not here to argue with the take. We're just here to get the take.
Yeah.
The comments.
Yeah.
The comments will set me free.
All right.
Get ready for all my burner account, Shruti. I'm coming for you.
You just wait. I have some too.
All right. How about classes or functional and hooks?
In hooks.
Yeah, like old React or new React, basically.
Oh, functional for sure.
Okay.
If you say classes, I'm going to come and kill you.
Jeez.
Coming
That's the
out
hot take.
swinging. Okay. Yeah. People don't like classes. I don't know why. I like classes.
That's because you're an Ember guy.
But what in general, like if you're doing Java, it's got classes. Like, is it a purely JavaScript front end thing where everyone hates classes, or what's the?
I actually like classes in JavaScript when they make sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think that classes were the right choice for like a component.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. If you say class component versus functional component, I'm going to say functional component. Classes are useful, especially for writing libraries, not for components.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Remix, TanStack, or Next.js?
TanStack.
Wow,
Any day, every day.
no thoughts. Okay,
No
why?
hesitation.
What's good about TanStack?
Lightweight, you can opt in, you can choose what you want, you can pick what you need. Doesn't force you into something that changes every day. Client first. Kind of very intuitive.
Okay. I have not looked at it at all, so
Ooh.
It's good. It's good.
Time
Yeah.
for a new video then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use React, so I haven't looked at much React stuff. I've used Next.js a little. I've used Remix a little too, but I have not looked at TanStack, so.
Well,
I should.
they just launched the new remix, which is all different. Like they dropped
Yeah.
the React
Remix
in the new
remix?
Yeah.
remix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manual updates.
Yeah. Which I got to say, I'm a fan.
You are.
I'm a fan.
Nothing changes unless you explicitly say to update it?
Here's my issue is I think that React has gone too far toward like you must be 100% React in order to get good results from React.
Yeah.
And so by sort of moving themselves into a position of having to be the platform, I think you trade too much to use the reactive model of React, right? And I think that moving back toward the DOM, because the browser APIs are really good now, right? Like they weren't 10 years ago when React was coming out. They are now. And so the thing that I've struggled with is that React is moving more and more toward, all React all the time. Everything is React.
Your
And
SQL's React.
Your everything is React, right? Like your server is React,
Yeah.
your front end is React, your HTML is React. For even if it's not reactive, it's React, and I am having a hard time seeing why, especially when we've got so many options out there that can do just a little bit of reactive stuff. The vast majority of websites, if you got a dashboard, React all day. If you're building a website though, it just doesn't. It's just hard for me to square it up. I'm taking over your episode. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Any response or?
I think I see what's your point. So as a front-end developer, I do like that React is able to take care of updates for me, and I don't want to think about manually updating them. I can see that there are applications where you need to kind of manually trigger it, and for that, I think Remix would be a good choice. For building a front-end application like what I have done at Slack and PayPal, I do want the platform to take care of the updates for me without me having to manually do it. Although there have been issues with the update as well, so I don't know. I'm curious to see how it's going to work out with Remix, the new Remix, but I am not a fan.
I want to see it mature a little bit. Like I think the initial demos, they've even said like it's not ready. They're just showing us kind of where they're headed. So I do think, in general, I think that there are an equivalent number of foot guns between something like Remix and something like React. I think that the challenge is always in what gets you the best result by default, which is that's why I tend to reach for Astro, is because generally speaking, you can't accidentally make something like monstrously non-performant with Astro, but it's really easy to make something monstrously non-performant with Next. So I think it's it's not going to be like, oh, Remix has solved all the problems. It's more about whether they get the defaults right, so that if a developer takes the laziest path forward, do they get a really good result? And historically, that seems to be what the Remix team thinks about a lot. Just kind of whether or not they got that to translate in the API.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of developers are also tired of React taking over a lot of stuff, automatically doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So I can see for those developers, this would be something that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. I personally like the magic. Anything that I don't have to ever configure or do anything, that's what I want.
Yeah, me too. I'm a lazy developer.
Yep.
Yeah, do it for me, please.
Okay, console.log or debugger?
Console.log.
Okay.
Console.log.
That one's not the only hot take on that would be if somebody ever said debugger.
Wait. You don't like debugger?
It's not that I dislike them, it's that I've never seen anyone use one for real.
I have used it.
What? I've used it, sure. Like I have been in specific situations where I'm like, oh, you know what? This is complicated enough. I'm going to set up a debugger.
Yeah.
Nowhere in my regular life am I like, oh yeah, I'm just going to set up the debugger right now. You console log it. You
I know.
always console log it.
It's so hard to do it.
Are you a debugger, man?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Because I don't want to have to write all the console logs. So I just want to be able to see everything that's right there at that time. So I don't know. It's hard. It's actually really hard when you can only use it, like when you're lazy and you don't set up a node side debugger. Because like in the browser, it's easy to throw a debugger in there.
Well, sure.
But like Yeah, node side, you got to be like, oh, VS Code, debug terminal, whatever.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I've started doing that too because it's like I got tired of a million console logs. So,
I guess you're the exception that proves the rule.
I guess so. Okay, last one. Were React server components a mistake?
No. They have
Okay.
a very small use case of. Oh, okay. People are gonna hate me. They have a specialized use case of when they're helpful. I think it changes the way you think about React, and it takes it's a paradigm shift actually. But between loading data on the server and sending it over, and just client-side SPA, I think the use case of React Server Components is limited. I'm yet to find a place where I feel like, yeah, I need a React Server component. Like, I
Yeah.
know what it is, I know what it does, but I'm yet to find a place where I'm like, oh, this is where React Server Component is useful.
Yeah, I think there was a big push to put everything back on the server, which is sometimes okay, but I think SPAs are fine. Like, they're not a huge problem anywhere, so
Yeah.
I don't know why everything moved, but I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
I think server components were a really, really cool technical implementation in search of an actual use case. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was such a fun problem to solve, and it just didn't need to be solved.
That's fair. But that's part of the fun. People
I
like
mean,
doing that.
I think that it's, maybe it's one of those things that ends up being a bridge where the work that went into React server components is going to lay some foundational tech for something cool that comes later. But I agree with Shruti. I've never really seen React server components be necessary. Like any solution that would involve React server components has an existing, perfectly acceptable, not like it's not like it was, when you got React and these reactive components, it was solving a problem that existed. There was very real pain.
Yep.
And React server components kind of came out of nowhere, and they were like, there's this problem, and everybody was like, I don't feel that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's sort of the primary issue is they were searching like a pure technical solution to a pain people didn't really feel, except it very, as you said, very narrow use cases.
Yeah. And I can imagine for mobile developers it's probably more useful, but for somebody who's building for the web, there are very small use cases where React Server Components is something you would reach for because you need it. I mean, if your client-side app is slow, you can always put the data on the server, and then you can get a lot of benefit of what you're trying to do with React Server Components from there. If you're a mobile developer, I can understand that you want to render the component, then send the rendered component over instead of waiting for that component to render on the mobile device. But yeah, I don't see a use for it right now.
Yeah, I would say going even further, like an Astro-style static site is more useful than server rendered, in my opinion.
I mean, this is where I've landed, right? Is that this is why I tend to advocate for Astro, is that I find that the type of work I do, which is not dashboards, I build marketing sites, I build user, like, not full dashboards, but like user sites that have a little bit of server stuff, but everything is not server rendered. There's not a huge amount of dynamic content. It's sort of like make a request with your user ID, pull up some details and show those to you. The amount of effort that goes into making that stuff work really well on Astro, the defaults are right there. You just kind of lay things out and say, put this on the page. And if you follow the hello world examples, you get something that gets good performance scores. It's gonna, the RUM scores are gonna come back good when you run your metrics, your lighthouse or your whatever they're called now, whatever they are, the ones that everybody looks at for.
Lighthouse
Is it Lighthouse? Yeah.
Page speed stuff.
I don't
is the
remember
same
exactly what it is.
web.performance
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
All that kind of stuff.
Web
But
Vitals.
Web Vitals.
Yes, there
Core
you
Web
go.
Vitals was the one I
That's
was
the
thinking
terminology.
of. But you're going to get good results by default, and I think again that's sort of where I keep landing is
Yeah.
you just gotta have a framework that's going to put you in a position to succeed when you get really lazy, and that's where I keep seeing it work out best is in something like Astro.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so we are at All Things Open. So let's talk about open source. How has open source influenced your life?
Besides the point that everything I use is open source, and we work at companies that are using these open source softwares, right? We probably don't contribute back to it, but we're using them all the time. So open source is, whether you admit it or not, something that influences all of our lives. How has it affected me? I think honestly, I would say building in open or building in public has changed my life more than open source itself. I was late into the open source game. I started building in public I don't know, 6 years ago when I started writing blog posts and started doing conference talks. Through that is how I got introduced into open source. I actually created an open source project, and that's how I got introduced into open source. Now I contribute to Tanstack Start, which is kind of my biggest open source contributions.
Okay.
I think what I love about open source is that it kind of gives you talking about Tanstack Start for example, it gives you a perspective outside of the small environment that you're working in, maybe at your work. So it gives you a new perspective of how people are working, what are the problems that people are facing outside of your little bubble that you work in at work, what are other libraries people are using. So it's a really great kind of way to learn stuff outside of your normal day-to-day office stuff.
Yeah, it's like a low stakes way to explore new technologies.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been super useful for me just to be exposed to different things and learn how to work with people and just learn how to contribute to something on GitHub. We haven't done that before for work or otherwise. But I do think, let me see how I phrased this here. Let's see. So what do you think about, is it helpful to contribute to open source to then get notoriety to get a job or something like that? Do you think that's helpful or not?
I think absolutely. As somebody who interviewed PayPal who interviewed people at PayPal and Slack, if they have contributed to open source, that's one big kind of thing that helps them stand out from other people, and that is something that we absolutely look for. When I put my open source contributions on my profile, I know that employers always ask about it in interviews, so it definitely gets you noticed. I think what it shows is that you have passion to contribute back to this to the community, and also you're looking to learn outside of your, like I said, your normal day-to-day. So it shows that you are looking to grow, you're looking to learn, and that you are passionate about this community.
That's a good point. I didn't consider that. It just shows general curiosity, which is helpful for getting. That's the kind of person you want to hire usually.
Yeah.
So okay.
I think it does. There are ways that can backfire a little bit. There was the backlash over Hacktoberfest, where people kept submitting these really small, kind of not necessary PRs.
Got to get that shirt.
Right, but I think that there is sort of the blanket advice. Get involved in open source; it'll help you get a job. But there's not the caveat, which is if you do a bunch of bad open source work, it's going to prevent you from getting the job. If I go look at your GitHub history and you've opened 10,000 PRs that are small word changes and readmes, that's not going to help your chances.
Yeah.
Right? So it's got to be something don't do it because you feel like you need to do it. Do it because it's solving a problem. If you're working on something and you think the thing could be better, go make it better. If you are in the docs and you had to go solve a problem by Googling for it, improve the docs, right? Any of those contributions shows me as an interviewer that you are all the things that Shruti said. But yeah, it's got to be meaningful contributions. Don't just go spam. Nobody wants that. Don't go spam repos with tiny changes.
Yeah, I think Hacktoberfest was actually a really cool way to get involved with open source and encouraged a lot of people to get started with open source. I feel like that's probably how I started with open source as well. But you're right, that isn't, because it is so easy to get started with, it's easily abused as well. And I like your point about if you find documentation hard, make a PR to open a PR to actually fix the documentation. Writing tests is another thing. We all need more tests. We all don't like to write tests. So if you're somebody who is learning about a new open source thing, make tests for it, make documentation for it. Also writing examples and writing tutorials on how to use it, I think that's a great way as well. That's how I got started with Tanstack Start. It helps you learn. It also helps other people learn that technology as well.
Yeah, that's been my primary way of contributing to open source. Is like I don't really work on the repos themselves. I usually don't have enough context to do anything meaningful, but I can build a lot of examples, and that tends to be the thing that I do, and I just try to put those back in whatever way is helpful to folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to write documentation, so if you want to help with that, definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like you as the user are usually the person that should be suggesting documentation use cases.
Right.
Because like if I make a library, I'm going to write docs, and the docs are going to be what I can think of. Like, but when you hit your corner, and I had no reason to think about that because I know this stuff inside and out. When you get stuck, that's a good sign that like there's a thing that I never would have thought of. Right, that's you giving me a gift as a user of the project. If you say like, hey, I was trying to do this and I couldn't figure it out, here's like a quick write-up, and then maybe I'll submit it as is, or maybe I'll just go in and clean up what you wrote and turn it into official docs. But either way, that's something that I never would have thought of on my own.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind, right?
Yeah. All right, so you just got back from ReactConf recently. What were some highlights from that? What's new in the React world?
React Foundation.
Okay, what is that?
Okay, so React Foundation is kind of equivalent to Linux Foundation, if you've ever heard of that. But basically, the idea is it is a open source foundation where people from, or companies actually from the ecosystem who are using React. Like I said, we're all using React. We don't all contribute to it, but it's a way for these different companies who are using React to contribute to React. The details of it are still blurry, like how much kind of say these companies would have, plus like how do new features get developed? Is that still part of the React core team, or is that part of the foundation? Those details are still kind of blurry. It's not been talked about, but React Foundation is there, and companies who want to get involved with React can now become part of React Foundation by submitting $200,000 a year, I think.
Just a small amount.
It's no big deal.
Just a pocket change. Microsoft shook that out of the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rounding error on the AWS bill.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So does that is the idea that depending on like how much money you're putting in and whatever, that you could influence, like, we need these features in React, so we want you to focus on that as the next thing you build, or?
I thought that might be the case, and that was actually the question that I asked the React core team, actually Seth Webster, who's the head of React at Meta. The answer is the details are still not fleshed out, so they're still thinking about how to do that. But the question I asked was specifically this, like, in past, open source foundations typically lean more towards a company that pays more.
Right.
So is that what's going to happen with this foundation? And they said that they are aware of things like that, and they're going to try not to do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a hard problem, because if somebody's like, here's $20 million, you're probably like, hey, I will prioritize what you want.
Well, and I mean, historically, that's been the right way to do open source. Like, if that's how open source projects get built, is a company comes in and they've got money and they either hire developers to work on it, or they pay the open source team to build out features that they need. And that's what makes open source sustainable. So I think it's murky, but it's less murky in my mind than this sort of like shadow, how much control does Vercel have over React directly now that they've hired a bunch of core members, and how much of React is being built directly for Next.js, because obviously the public statement is always going to be, we would never do that. But we've seen like alpha versions of React get shipped in Next, so they're clearly, they're planning stuff behind this. So putting it in a foundation, I think, is a strong step in the right direction.
Yeah, totally.
And even if that's like, all forms of governance suck because large groups of people are impossible to govern.
Sure.
But something that is more public is a lot better than something that's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's like no visibility into what's happening right now. So, yeah.
But besides the React Foundation, there were other features announced. One specific one that I'm super excited about is performance tracks. So now in Google Chrome, you can see how your components are performing. So initially we had this React Dev Tools, which is gives you like profiler and components.
Right.
But now performance tracks are actually integrated within the performance panel of the Chrome dev tools
Ooh,
itself.
fancy.
So now,
That's cool.
Yeah, and you can also see like how long your render took, how long your commit took, how long your transitions took, and how long the process is just sitting in idle. So that is really helpful in understanding which of your components and which of your phases are in blocking phase. So I'm super excited about that because I think that's going to really help people understand why their components are slow and which phase it's waiting in.
Yeah, that's super helpful because I frequently have no idea what my performance is doing. Like,
Right?
I'll make the bundle smaller, that'll help.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was one of my core frustrations that led to me kind of taking steps back from React, is that it started to feel so black boxy because they're doing things like double rendering components, or the use effects get triggered. You put your dependencies in, but then like sometimes it felt like they were running anyways, and I was like, what's left to put in the dependency array? I don't understand why it's still rendering. So having the ability to see in a complicated UI which component is slow, that alone saves a ton of time,
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm like commenting things out. I'm like, now is it fast? Like,
Yeah. and like React Profiler helped with that a little bit.
Yeah.
And still does. Like it'll tell you why it reloaded, re-rendered, and like which props changed. So it's still helpful. But like knowing how much time each of those phases took, it's so cool.
and having it built into the browser.
Yeah.
Right? I think this is, kind of going back to my earlier complaint. I feel like React is getting further from the browser by saying like you have to go all in on React, but this is actually a good counterpoint to what I was saying. If they're getting things integrated back into the browser, that feels good. Like they're trying to work toward, let's make it part of the platform as opposed to an alternative to the platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jason, you want to ask your question you wanted to ask?
Yeah. So Shruti, you said you've gone independent, right? You were at Slack, and now you are working for Shruti Kapoor International Unlimited, right? And so one of the things, because I've done the same thing, I've gone indie, and one of the things that I thought would be fun to talk about is the indie pendulum, right? And the feeling of like, is it going well? Is it going bad? And how does that cycle work for you? How are you navigating that?
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, Jason, you are actually a big inspiration because of which I actually took the step. And I was like, I can quit this. I can do this. I can do it on my own. I got some money. I can do this. Yeah, indie pendulum. I love that word. And my life is kind of like that a lot. Some days I'm like, yay, I'm going to be the biggest YouTuber. And then the next day I'm like, I'm going to start applying for interviews. This is not going well. Yeah, it's a constant battle. I think we were talking about that yesterday. Like, I think what has been super helpful for me is thinking about this content creation or being independent as sort of like a business. I mean, it is a business, but thinking of it as a business of not just one day or 1 week, but as a quarter, right? So, like in a quarter, 1 month may be good, 1 month may be bad, but on an average, how are you doing, right? And your bandwidth could be different. You could look at it from like maybe 1 quarter or 2 quarters a year, however you want to do it, whatever financial goals you have or like growth goals you have, you can look at it that way. But instead of focusing on like the small vision or like the small term plan, think of the long term plan. That has helped me stay sane. Because yes, like 1 month is not going to be good. For example, right now I'm traveling quite a lot for conferences and I do not have time to make videos.
Right.
Which means that the video growth is suffering a little bit. But then on a 3-month average, it averages out and I'm still making progress towards it and I'm still growing and I'm still doing better than I was. And at the end of the day, am I having more fun and am I learning? And for me, the answer for the last 3 quarters has been yes. And I have been growing, so for me, that kind of helps me keep going. But yeah, looking at it like day by day, I see my numbers kind of drop, numbers kind of rise. It's like, am I doing this well or not? What's going on? So yeah.
Yeah, that's a healthy way to look at it. Like kind of looking at you look at the averages. You never look at an individual day or an individual video.
Just like the stock market.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I think that's actually the right approach to take to it. Like if you're looking at anything as an individual effort, and this was a huge mistake that I've made in my career over and over again, where I'd take on a project and I'd be like, this is the project that's going to solve all my problems. And whether that was at work, whether that was independently, I would be working on something and you kind of come out the other side of it thinking, once I launch this, everything will change. And inevitably, it's disappointing. Like it's crushing because you're never going to get the overnight success of I shipped this thing and now my whole life has changed. Like, you know, a vanishingly small number of people have that experience.
Yep.
But if you consistently put things out there and you're thinking in quarters or years, then as you look back at the chart, it's always kind of moving up.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll look back at 2 years ago and go, oh dang, I'm actually doing a lot more than I was 2 years ago. Even if it feels like on any given day, it's like, oh, it's 1% better. Who cares? 1%, blah. But like it adds up in big ways over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Primogen always talks about how he streamed to like 6 people for 4 years. Like, you just got to keep going, and it'll happen. So.
Yeah.
How have you? So one of the things you talked about was, you know, like you've been making videos, but then this month you're on a big conference push. You could also be doing courses. You could be doing internal trainings. You could be teaching workshops. Like there's so many things an independent creator can do. Mm-hmm. How are you choosing which things are the right things for you to spend your time on? Because there's such a large number of options out there.
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's something that I think about a lot, especially now that I'm independent. I don't have a boss who's going to tell me what to do, which honestly I loved at Slack and PayPal. Like somebody telling me what to do and I can just do it. Now I'm my own boss, which comes with a lot of responsibility and freedom. But one of the things is you have to decide what is the right path to take. And if you do end up taking the wrong path, then it could be disastrous. Thankfully, it's not as disastrous as we make it in our head. So, you know, you can always backtrack. So, you know, one course goes bad. But the way I like to do is every year and every like 6 months, I'll have goals of what I want to do with my channel and then my content that I create. So, for example, this year I started out with the goal that I want to speak at 10 conferences. I want to write a book and I want to launch a course. Those are my 3 main goals, right? 10 conferences. In terms of like how easy it is for me to do, 10 conferences is relatively easier for me to do because I go to a lot of conferences, so it's easier to do that. Writing a book is harder because, you know, I've never written a book so far. So first I have to find a publisher, I have to find a topic. So that's a relatively difficult thing to do. So that becomes a long-term project, like a long-term goal. And then the third is like creating a course, which for me it's relatively easy because I've already created one course. Now it's just a matter of adding another course, right? So that way I divide my goals into long-term, short-term, and sort of like easy to do. So for me, easier to do would be like applying to conferences, going to conferences. And then I divide my year into different quarters. So for example, I know that I want to write a book this year, which means at some point I need to start talking to publishers. So if my goal is
this year.
Yeah, this year.
You know it's October.
I already have a publisher. Listen, I'm making progress. Listen. So, which means that by the first quarter, I should have, like whatever the goal may be, I should have made this kind of progress towards that. Right? For me, that would be writing a book. So that means that I should have like a signed deal or whatever. I have 2 signed deals now.
Nice.
Yeah, so like for me, it's also deciding like what my personal goals are, but at the same time, you also have to look at what the industry is trending towards, right? For example, in the beginning of this year, AI was everywhere. I mean, it still is today.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it not? Not now?
Nobody's talking about AI now. What are you talking about? What's AI? But yeah, like in the beginning of this year, everything, I think ChatGPT, like, I don't know what new thing came out in the beginning of this year. I think it was agents probably that was announced like last year. So everybody was talking about AI agents. Today it's still like MCP and agents and stuff. But yeah, the idea is that you also got to take a look at the trends and what people are looking for. So that also becomes one of the things that you should build content for as a content creator or whatever, as a developer. So that also becomes part of my goals as well. And then it's a matter of like weaving in what I want to do and what the community wants to see into content and kind of dividing it in quarters and then weeks and so on.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
So I want to hear about training your dog. I need more context into what this, like, what kind of training are you doing?
So I'm training, my dog's name is Pepper. She is the sweetest lab hound retriever mix. You have not seen Pepper.
I met your dog. Didn't you bring her to the house and she barked at me the whole time?
Oh, she didn't. She would never do that. I have trained her not to do that. What are you talking about? No, she's a very sweet pup. I have been training her to do all sorts of things. So I was, Pepper is my first dog. I've never had a dog before, so I was super passionate about like training her and like making sure that she does all these tricks. So it started off with like just little simple tricks like sit, stand, those kind of things. But now I'm training her to pick up newspaper in the morning.
Nice,
So we get like
nice.
newspaper delivered once a week, and I'm training her to do that, and she can do that. Now I'm training her to shut the door and open the door so that when somebody comes, she can shut the door
Yeah.
and I don't have to do it. And when I'm feeling lazy, I can tell her, Pepper, shut the door. We've gotten to like 75% of it, where like if I do have the treat, she will shut the door, but if I don't have the treat, she doesn't do that. So I'm just like training her to be my assistant more. Like.
Nice. That's very cool. Have you seen the things where they have like 50 words and people like get the dogs to do those? Have you tried anything
those
like
are
that?
so cool. I want to do that. I haven't gotten around to doing those, but I want to do that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like those ones are a big time investment.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because I think you have to like sit with the dog and like push the button as you do the thing. So
Yeah.
it's like a lot of repetition, and I think you have to be. I think that's got to be
Yeah.
like your job for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel like the dog, when it realizes which one means like hungry, 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 it's just like that's the one I'm gonna hit. Like, I don't need any of the other ones.
Have you seen those videos where the dog is like, bitch, 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 bitch? It's so funny. I'm like, I am not getting that button.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw one that was like something about like the dog's owner was like, oh, do you want mama to like do something? He's like, no, dada, or something. And then like the guy comes over and it's like, no, I don't like you. Or something. I don't know, it's like dog is very opinionated about that. Yeah. Okay, so one last question before we end. If you weren't in tech, what other career would you choose? And this could be like, if you want to get a magical skill, that's fine. It doesn't have to be like anything that's like, you've been working towards. Just be like, oh, I want to be a singer or whatever. You can like, sky's the limit. Like, what would you do if you weren't in tech?
I'd be an interior designer.
Okay. Nice.
I love decorating, interior design. That's my jam.
Nice. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so before we end, what would you like to plug? Where can the people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Shruti Kapoor 08. Speaking of use effects that we've been talking a lot, I actually have a video coming on 10 mistakes, actually 16 mistakes you're making in use effect. And it also includes some React 19.2 use effect event and how to use that. So I think
Which number is going to blow my mind?
number 16. So you have to watch the whole video because there are not going to be any chapters. No, I think the coolest one is going to be how you can move, like you were talking about, right? Like use effect, you add so many dependency and you're like, why is it still re-rendering, right? So now React 19.2 introduces use effect event, which actually helps you remove any non-reactive stuff out of use effect. And so that's really cool.
That's all I've ever wanted.
Yes. So that's really cool. I'm excited about that, and you can find that on YouTube.
Cool. All right, thanks for joining us, and thanks everyone for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave us some ratings and reviews. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next time. Gotta find